Man, you look great.
Oh, thank you, man. Feel great.
How old are you now?
46.
Holy hell. This is, time is going by quick.
Yeah, I know. My daughter's 25 now.
I see your post on that, and I'm like, man, I remember when you used to talk about her in OVW, and she was just little, and I was like, where did all this time go? It was, you.
She was 10
yeah,
in OVW.
Because you used to talk about her all the time, and then I saw your post where you're like, she's 25. I'm like, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe I had 25-year-old if you told me, but I guess I do.
You know,
Trying to get backlight there.
You were the first guy with this. I remember in WWE when I saw your injury with the neck injury, where I was like, oh man, this is like real. Like the stuff, like when we're all young, we get into the business, and then you see like old timers come in or people and they get injuries, but then experiencing like people you know and like came into the business with and seeing like injuries, and then later I would have my own that I didn't realize would be so serious. But I remember when with your neck injury in particular, I remember just thinking like, man, this stuff can affect the rest of our lives.
Yeah, the phase one of my neck injury was in university, where I herniated a disc a little bit in amateur wrestling practice, and then it stayed there and it calcified. So now it became a piece of bone, and it was touching my spinal cord. So it was I showed up with that injury. It just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I protected it as much as I could. I'd still get stingers. I remember once I was in the. Are we recording already?
Yeah, I just keep it on at the beginning and have them come in. Can I do an open? Yeah.
Okay. Maga used to do that running big ass in the corner.
Yeah.
I didn't have my head in the right spot. Boom! Like both my arms on fire, bad. Whew. So it impacted my spinal cord there. And then throughout the years, there was always little shots on my neck, But, whatever. I did my traction and then kept it going the best I could.
Did you do when you were up there too? Because, and I've talked about with like for me, because you get in the cycle of going, and it's just especially the schedule and just going and going and going, and you have injuries. And I remember like with my back, they started giving me Toradol the last like 2 years every day. And again, my choice. And at the end of the day, I got to hold myself accountable for allowing it. And then like my shoulder, they were pumping it full of cortisone, which ate away all the cartilage. Were you doing cortisone for your neck at all, or no?
Well, so I had a couple of different issues with my neck. One, I had my facet joints on my neck were rubbing. So that was causing me to lock up. Like I couldn't move anywhere because the facets are hitting the nerve. So there they did some cortisone, worked for a month. And then I did a facet rhizotomy, where they go in there and they actually fry that little nerve that goes through the facet joints. And for those that are listening that don't know, the facet joints would be that little skeletal, spiny stuff you can visibly see from the outside. But they come out and they also go sideways. And they said that, it was mostly going to be a pain receptor nerve, but it did have some motor function because, now when I ride my bike after a while, my neck gets tired and it atrophied a bit.
Yep.
But that was the one thing. And then I had the discs issue, so I had a double fusion. And, pain's gone. Mobility too, but pain's gone.
When you were there, so for everyone and listening too, in my opinion, you're the greatest comedy wrestler of all time. As far as I think, you're just an all around great wrestler. You're whatever role that you play, you excel in. You were in OVW, you were as legitimate as anybody down there, and with your background, but you were believable. Because I was new to the business, I was like, man, this guy's good. I thought you were going to go on and go up there and do this badass serious role that you were doing with you and Stronko and all that. And then I remember sitting in Louisville, Kentucky at my low point, and I was with the girlfriend that was the ex-girlfriend now, but like raising her kid. I'd been out of wrestling for like a year at OVW, drinking heavily with the girl was drinking a lot. We're sitting on the
Smoky Bones.
This was before even, I think I even got in, or right around that period. Yeah, Smoky Bones period. But I'll never forget sitting on the couch in Louisville, Kentucky. It's like one of those moments that's just ingrained in my brain. And I put Raw on, and I wasn't watching it a lot because I was a little down and I didn't want to see. And I remember I turned it on one night. I was like, I want to see what's going on, and I was out of the loop of what was going on, drunk and just sitting there. And I remember that you debuted, and I was like, whoa! It was like, to me, out of the crowd and the whole deal. And it was one of those moments. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I got to get back on the horse and get back. And that was you have these little moments in your life that you remember, but it was like, and me and you have always gotten along with you, but that was one of the, like, it motivated me. And so thank you. And it was just you just being you and just being successful. And
oh, thanks, man. Yeah, pretty crazy, because I remember, like, it happened so fast. On Friday, I'm driving to E-Town, and I get a call. They say, can you speak Italian? And do you remember when Fearless Jack Bull thought that Dusty Rhodes called him?
That's one of the all-time greatest blunders of kicking yourself in the ass, maybe of all time.
So then Dusty Rhodes came in and talked to our class and said, if anybody ever asks you if you can do something, you say yes. And you better learn how to fucking do it. So he literally told me that like 2 weeks before. And then they call me and they say, can you speak Italian? And I'm like, yes.
Wait, and you couldn't, right?
And they go, say something. So I said a couple things. And I could just see them at a board table with me on speaker looking around going, I don't know, it sounds Italian. Pretty good to me. I don't know. Nobody there was Italian to verify. And that's it, man. I flew out the next day, Saturday, got there on Sunday, debuted on Monday. And I felt like, I remember asking, it was Nova, I'm like, well, what's going to happen to Boris? Like and he goes, forget Boris, this is an idea from Vince himself. And I'm like, so anyway, Boris came to an abrupt end, which is funny because I was called Boris after being in Louisville I was in Louisville for like 2 years and 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I was called Boris after being there for like 3 weeks or a month. And then I was Santino, and then I left Louisville in like 2 weeks because I wanted to come home and see my daughter, right? So for 2 years of my life, not only did I live in Louisville, for 2 years of my life, I was this guy, Boris.
Yes.
So people referred to me as Boris, and my name was Boris for 2 years.
That's how I knew you, yeah.
Strange, eh?
That's
when I had an alias.
That was like for me, that reminds me of when I got called up as Skip Sheffield, and Vince came up to me during week 1 or week 2 of NXT, and it was week 2, I think, and he goes, you're not going to be doing this very longer anymore. He goes, I need you to get away from this character. He goes, you're going to make me millions of dollars just being yourself. I remember I was so destroyed inside because I'd embraced that character so much, and I was like, well, what about Skip Sheffield?
I like that guy.
Who gives a fuck? As long as. So what for you? You came up there and got thrown into the mix right away. And there, how did you transition into the Santino everyone fell in love with? Is the comedy?
Well, it's funny because I had like 6 indie matches, and then I go to Japan and I have several work shoots. So my indie matches, I knew absolutely nothing. I remember I would just bow up in the heat and start throwing guys. Because my coach, Don Koloff, my first coach, I understand what he was trying to say now. If someone's taking advantage of you in the ring, taking liberties, just shoot on them.
Yep.
Put them in a hold and say, are we good? We going to work now? Like, relax. But the way he said it, I thought, God, miss. So it's kind of real? Like, it's kind of real? Like, he's like, you have to take the initiative?
Yeah.
So I go out there and I'm just taking over and just throwing guys. And I apologize to guys since then. The first 6 guys that I worked, I see them after it. One guy was Crazy Steve. You know Crazy Steve?
Yeah.
Like Impact?
Yep.
I met him and I go, dude, because he was so skinny back then. And I'm like, I'm going to kill this guy, Like, I'm thinking it's like a fight. And I just threw him around. I gave him 1 Hurricane Rana, and the rest was a beating. And I saw him years later, and I'm like, dude, I am so sorry. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Because, yeah, I was kind of wondering why you just beat me up like that. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know, man.
And you're
Anyway,
a badass for people that don't know the stuff you can do and what you know. And you also, I'll say, you fire up. You have a lot of intensity inside of you, a lot of energy. So when you decide to go that route, it's to me, I always appreciated that. Thank you guys very much for watching this clip, and to watch full episodes of the Shooting Blanks Wrestling Report and conversation with the big guy Ryback, subscribe to patreon.com/Ryback for exclusive videos of both shows. And always remember, feed me more.